There.
Hello and welcome, everyone. And get this going. So glad to have all of you here from all around the country and all around the globe. Um, PublishDrive is actually an international company based out of Bucharest. So that's right, right? So
No, Budapest.
Budapest. Sorry, got my B got my B words wrong. B cities wrong. Out of Budapest. So I'm excited to bring you Danica Favorite and bring Publish Drive to you actually. In full disclosure, started using Publish Drive in 2017, and despite Danica's many encouraging words to me to get in there and update my account and do the things that I need to. I'm excited about seeing all the changes and new things that Publish Drive is offering in our webinar today. So Danica works for Publish Drive. She is based in the US, but is also an author herself, has published lots of romance books, and she's going to tell us about PublishDrive, which is a distribution company. So it's another option if you're looking for other routes to distribute your book. They offer a whole bunch of cool tools and things. Hopefully, you've heard the podcast interview that we did where we talked about AI tools. If not, I'll make sure that that gets listed in the replay email. But we are just excited to have you all as a first time sponsor for the 2025 year, which is very exciting for us. And I'm so grateful to you for the sponsorship and glad that you are here to teach us all about your wonderful tool for authors and publishers. So, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Like you and I have connected a bit over the years, and I really was excited when we got to be able to sponsor the conference because I think that it's a great conference and so many good people. I really enjoy being part of this community. So thank you for providing such a great community, people.
Oh,
So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, perhaps. Um, so bear with me because my little clicker thing, I'm always bad at doing the clicky thing. So uh, I apologize if this is, let me move the screen. Um, Good old Zoom, I tell you. There we are. That's what I was trying to do. So everyone can see my screen okay?
yes, you are good to go.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So okay, so as Alexis told you, I am Danica Favorite. I'm the community manager at PublishDrive. I also am the co-host of the Brave New Bookshelf podcast. And that is a podcast that I have with Steph Pajonas of the Future Fiction Academy, all about AI in publishing. So our goal with the podcast is to help people understand AI and learn different tools and things like that. And so if you are interested at all in AI and publishing, uh, please check out our podcast. As Alexa said, I am a multi-published author. I've got over 27 books that are traditionally and independently published. I have done a lot of work in the trad space, and I worked for a major publisher helping aspiring authors get published. And I've had over 25 years in publishing, but I don't always like to admit that because then you guys can do math and realize that I'm not 20 anymore, which, I feel 20 sometimes, but then other days I feel 100. Can anyone relate? So today we're going to talk about self-publishing, which I know a lot of you are here for and you're excited to learn about. And so this is how self-publishing is evolving. Like I've been in the business long enough that I know how things have evolved. Where it used to be, if you put a book up on Amazon, you'd sell a gazillion books and life was great. And now it takes a lot more work. The market's more competitive. Distribution is just the beginning of your challenges. And so to maximize your sales, you're going to need a strategic approach. And that's what we at Publish Drive do. Um, we are an all-in-one publishing solution. Let's see if we can move that. We have a comprehensive platform for ebooks, audiobooks, and print on demand. And our distribution network is to over 400 stores and 24,000 libraries. I'm sorry, 240,000 libraries. But we don't just stop at distribution. We have tools for metadata, book descriptions, cover design, as well as tools for formatting, publishing, promotion, and analytics. Our whole goal is to simplify the self-publishing process, have everything in one spot so you don't have to have a million accounts in a million different places and try to compile all that data and information. Um, and this is just some of the stores and markets where PublishDrive is located. And so, yes, we do distribute to Amazon. We encourage people to use us to distribute through Amazon, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a bit. But these are just some of the stores that your books can appear in by using PublishDrive to distribute your books. And so we do every format, every language. We have ebooks, print on demand, audiobooks, translations, and we can expand your reach. One of the things that's really important about like translations and foreign languages is the foreign language market is really one of the untapped gems of publishing. And so we access a lot of those different markets. And while a lot of the markets do respond favorably to things in English, now with translation being so much easier, people are seeing really great results by translating their books into whatever language. The other neat thing that PublishDrive has is we have in-store promotions. So during key shopping periods like Black Friday or holidays, within your dashboard, you can nominate your books for whatever featuring opportunities are there. So let's just pretend that Barnes and Noble is having a Christmas in July promotion. Fantastic. Maybe you have a Christmas book. So you would look in your dashboard and you would see, oh, look, Barnes and Noble has a Christmas in July promotion. Cool. I'm going to send my book to that. And then Barnes and Noble ends up promoting your book as part of their Christmas in July promotion, which is really fantastic because that's something that you just get as being part of PublishDrive. So we have a lot of different stores that do that as well. And we also have a deal with a company called Written Word Media, who I believe also sponsors the Women in Publishing Summit. But they're fantastic with their promotions to readers. And through PublishDrive, you can access some of their promotions via our dashboard for either free or at a reduced cost. So you won't be able to get everything that Written Word Media does, and I highly recommend you go explore them for what they do. But I love that you have the ability to try some of their promotions for free through PublishDrive. We also have a really wonderful sales analytics tool. So as the store send it to us, we update the sales data in your dashboard. One thing to keep in mind, because we've had a lot of comments about this, people like, oh, I just sold a book just now and it's not appearing in my dashboard. Well, the stores take time to report it to us. So just because someone just bought the book and told you they just bought the book, it isn't that. It's just the stores have their timing of reporting. Some stores only update their sales reports monthly or quarterly. So it's always good to keep in mind, like when you look at sales reports, whether that be from us or from other people, like sometimes that's what's going to be going on. But what I love is having everything in one dashboard helps you track your progress and make informed decisions. And that's one of the reasons why I was telling you you can have your own Amazon account, or you can run Amazon just through PublishDrive. And you've got your sales analytics and everything right there in that same dashboard where you can see, okay, my Amazon sales this month did this, and Barnes and Noble did this, and this German store did this. And so you have all of that in one place rather than going between multiple dashboards, multiple tools, trying to compare your numbers. Because I don't know about you guys, I'm a writer, not a mather. Seriously, if I ever give you a number, never trust the number I give you because I'm terrible at math, and that's okay. I just prefer to spend my time doing other things. I could probably get really good at math, but I can have other people do that for me. I can have a sales dashboard that makes all those calculations for me. So I'm not having to put these all into spreadsheets and add up numbers myself because that sounds like a terrible time to me. Um, and so one of the other things is through our sales dashboards, we've got filtered insights where you can filter by date range, your sales types, your books, your series, whatever country you're wanting to look at, the store, your book format. And so you can really dive deep into your sales analytics and what your books are doing and where they're selling to make informed decisions. So, for example, you've got a little extra money to throw at some more translations, and you're like, okay, what country is my book doing best in? Oh, look, it's doing really well in Italy. Cool. Maybe I should translate a couple more books in Italian. And by having that data of what works for you and your business, I think that's really important because you can go into the groups, and Alexa has a wonderful group. I love her group. I love her people. I but here's the thing, when you ask for advice, you're asking people's advice based on like what a general consensus is. But when you have your actual numbers and can say, okay, here are the trends that are working for my books, for what I write, for what I do, you're able to make better choices. And so when you go in and you ask for advice, you can say, hey, look, my books are doing really well in these countries. What do you think of this? And then people can also give you better advice about your writing. So it's really cool to have that important data as dialed in as you possibly can. And so, again, turning your data into action, you're identifying your top performing formats, top performing regions, and again, you can also look at this for marketing. Where can you get the best ROI? If you know your books are doing well in Italy, can you then maybe do some more ads targeted at people in Italy? And then by using that targeting, suddenly you can get more readers who are going to be interested in your book because you know where those audiences are, you know where your book is being sold. And that's personally what I really love is having that information to be able to say, yes, this is what is happening. And I have the data to back it up because I think a lot of people will talk in generalizations and general ideas. But when you can look at your own data and see what your data is telling you, it just makes for a much better experience for you. And you can see what efforts are working and what efforts aren't. The other cool thing about using Amazon with PublishDrive, you can run your Amazon ads directly from your PublishDrive dashboard. Now, I will say people have told me that they can still do this even if you're not using Amazon through PublishDrive. But like to me, if you've got it all in one dashboard, why are you going between two dashboards? But how great is that you can do it all through that same dashboard and have all of that information there? And again, right as you're looking at your reports of where your books are doing well, you can go back in and say, okay, Amazon ads, let's change our targeting. Let's do this, let's do that. And again, you're able to make those decisions from an informed perspective with the data that you have. The other tool that PublishDrive has is Abacus, which is royalty splitting. I know a lot of folks here are newer authors and this might not apply to them, but as you're thinking about your publishing path, if you are splitting royalties, if you own a publishing company, or maybe you just did an anthology with a bunch of friends, right there we have a product called Abacus where you can share your author royalties, you can run custom analytics, you can track your payments. And we do have a system where, you can put the money, you hit the button, it splits the royalties, it sends the people their money. It is a standalone product. And so the subscription fee to this is going to be different from the distribution, which I just talked about, and the publishing assistant, which I'm about to talk about. And so now we're talking about our publishing assistant, Alexandra. This is our AI powered publishing assistant. It helps self published authors, indie writers, publishers with their book discoverability. So, one of the things that's really important is discoverability. And Alexa and I talked about this in the podcast a lot because this is a huge passion of mine in terms of your book description and metadata. As I said, I've been in the publishing industry for 25 years, and so many mistakes that I see authors making are their book descriptions are terrible. And I'm not even sugarcoating it anymore. I used to try to be nice and dance around it. I'm not doing that anymore because, guys, this is why your books aren't selling. And I think I did tell the story in Alexa's podcast, but this is really my favorite story. Is I was working with this author and she wrote this vampire book, and you go through the description, nothing in the description says it's a vampire book. Like the word vampire is not used at all in the description, in the title, in any of the metadata, anywhere. And I'm like, okay, but you need to tell them that it's a vampire book because that's what people are looking for. And she said, oh no, it's assumed. I don't want my readers to think that I'm talking down to them or that they're stupid because I had to say the word vampire. And I'm like, no, 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 you don't get it. You have to use the word vampire because that is what tells the SEO. That's what tells the search engines. That's what tells the average buyer who hasn't read your work what kind of book it is. That's why it's important to say the word vampire. And so many times we as authors are so attached to our work and we're so attached to our process and our book as our baby that we miss those key words. We miss those really important things in our stories. And it's just that we're too close to it. And so what we came up with was this publishing assistant. It's a standalone product. It's separate from our distribution with a separate fee. Anyone can use this tool. So even if you don't distribute through PublishDrive, you can use Alexandra. And that's also true of Abacus. If you don't use PublishDrive for distribution, you can still use Abacus. What we do with Alexandra, with our publishing assistant, is we give you your first 60 credits fee for free. So you can try it without any risk. You upload your book, and what it will do is it will sort through your book. It will look for what keywords are actually in your book because again, as writers, we're so attached to our work, we don't always see what is actually important, what the thing the reader is going to catch. We know what touches us in our writing, but we don't always have that sense of what the readers see. And so this is an AI tool that has no attachment to your book. And so it's going through your book and saying, oh, wow, she talks about vampires 100 times. This must be a vampire book. Cool. Let's make sure that's in the metadata and the keywords and the description. The other thing I do want to point out, because people are very sensitive to this and we respect this a lot, is your data will not be used for AI training because everyone's like, oh no, I'm giving my book to AI. Absolutely you are. But guess what? That's not being used in any other way other than to get data about your book for your usage. There's no AI training that happens with that. It's not being used to train any AI. So let's talk about metadata and why metadata matters. So metadata is what keeps your book discoverable. It's your series name, your Amazon categories, your pen name, your subtitle, your title, bisect categories, description, keywords, and even price. This is all what's going to help your book be discovered in the sea of hundreds of thousands, even millions of books. Again, if you wrote a vampire book, you want to say it's a vampire book because that's going to separate it out. And anyone who wants to read a vampire book, they're going to be able to easier find your book. And so think about what are those things? What are the tropes? What are the important pieces of information about your book that people need to make a good decision about whether or not to buy your book? Um, and when people are looking for, this is what I want to read, this is what I'm interested in, the more of this stuff you can put in all of your metadata, the better, because that's what's going to help people find your book. Um, and so some of the key benefits of optimized metadata, number one, you're going to increase your discoverability. So using the SEO driven titles and keywords tailored to your genre, that's going to make it easier for readers to find your books. Again, like if you don't put vampire in there, the people who want a vampire book aren't going to find your book because they've assumed, they may not have been able to assume. Because here's the thing is that SEO and search engines, they don't assume. They look for the exact words. We talk about AI. AI doesn't know how to think. We think that it thinks because we've trained it so well. Sometimes we're like, oh, wow, the AI totally is thinking. No, it's not. It is just predicting data based on the data set available to it and based on what it thinks. And I say thinks in air quotes, based on what it thinks is going to be the next logical response. And so when you say search for X, it's going to look for X. It's not going to look for something that might possibly maybe be related to X in a really tangential way. It's going to look for things really close to X or something that is very close to what X is. And again, like the categories are going to help you target your audience and help you engage readers and get the right readers for your book. Another story, again, I think I told this on the podcast, but I had to have a really serious talk with an author who kept putting her book in the LGBTQ category. And I'm like, but this isn't an LGBTQ book. And she was like, yeah, but people who are LGBTQ are going to enjoy reading this book. And I'm like, no, 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 that's not what the category's for. And and so you really have to sometimes think through, okay, what category is my book in, and who is the audience for this category? Like, who in this category is going to be reading and looking for my book specifically, and really matching up that category. It's amazing to me how many times when I look at someone's books that aren't selling and they're like, well, why isn't my book selling? I would say like the description is a huge part of it, but also the wrong category is another big part of it. They're putting their books in categories where their book doesn't belong. And to be fair, we all know sometimes Amazon changes the category on you, and that's a big pain. But as intentional as you can be about finding the right categories for your books, and even finding categories you may not know exist, that's really, really important. Um, and then looking at conversions, again, it's the description and the metadata, which is going to get your books into the hands of readers. If you have a compelling book blurb, a compelling description, that is what is going to get the reader to buy your book and to keep reading. And another story, sorry, I tell this one a lot too, but it's really one of those things that as an author, but also as a reader, this makes me really angry. How many times have you picked up a book because a description sounds so good, and then you're reading it and you realize, wait, this isn't what the book's about? I did that. I before I go on a long flight, I download a bunch of books. And there was this one book I was super excited to read because the description, it had this really powerful description. And I started reading the book and it had nothing to do, it had nothing to do with that description. So I double checked, wait, is this the right book? Is this, yeah, it was the right book. Um, and I am one of those people. My fatal flaw as a reader is I cannot not finish a book. I have to finish it no matter how bad the book is. I will finish the book. And so I did. I kept reading this book. It was terrible. I cannot underscore how terrible this book was. And mostly it was because I had this expectation of it being about this one thing, and it was about this totally different thing. And finally, I got like three-quarters of the way through the book, and guess what? It finally, that description that I read, it was there. That really good description was one good scene in the book that actually was a subplot of the whole story. So it had nothing to do with the story. And I thought, this author is probably sitting there going, why aren't people reading my books? Why aren't they buying my book? Why don't I have read through? Well, I'll tell you why they don't have read through. Um, because they've just really disappointed me, the reader, because I thought the book was about one thing, it was about something totally different. So there's no way I'm going to go buy their next book. They have already betrayed my trust in book one. I'm not buying book two. And so, like, that's another thing to think about is when you're writing those descriptions, are your descriptions really reflecting what that book is about and giving readers that reason to pick up the book? Because obviously they'd written a compelling enough description that I picked up the book, but then the book itself didn't match that description. And so, again, really think about what expectations are you setting up for your readers? What are your readers looking for, and how are you delivering on that promise to your readers? So, here are some of the metadata essentials for publishing. We've talked a lot about blurbs. Obviously, that's my passion because blurbs are hard and they're so important. And I cannot underscore enough how important a good blurb is. And like for me, before I learned about AI and AI tools, I was paying people to write my blurbs. I had this gal who would write my blurb for $100. She doesn't do it anymore, which is kind of nice that she retired right about the time of AI. But like I was paying people to do that for me because I know that I wasn't seeing the forest for the trees, and I couldn't pick out what a reader was going to be attracted to in my book. And seriously, blurbs written on my own are terrible. I can write blurbs for other people. I just can't do it for myself because I'm too close to my work. So, again, like how can you make that blurb engaging and wanting to pick up the reader? Because a lot of times what we think is important in a blurb is just not. Like we think that they need the whole backstory, and they don't. We think that people need to know, oh, this complex magic system or this complex world. No, they don't need to know that. Not in the blurb. And so, so really think about what it means to craft a good blurb. And then Amazon categories, as I was mentioning, what are the best categories? And then if you're selling outside of Amazon, you need your BISAC categories. So what are the right BISAC categories for your books so that they will be, again, seen by those retailers? So they're appearing in the right search results for the retailers. We also can help with keywords. Again, it's the phrases and the keywords readers are using to find books like yours. And so what we do is when you've got your book uploaded to our system, what it does is it's searching your book for keywords, but it's also checking against the Amazon system for, okay, what keywords are selling right now on Amazon? What are the important keywords to Amazon buyers? And that's really important because again, when you're looking for a book, I was just seriously right before this webinar started because I'm getting ready to go on a trip. And so I'm buying all my stuff for the trip. And, my keywords are, I want a book about, and like, I put in all the different things. So what are people searching for? Because I know I don't want just a vampire book. I want a vampire book that's got a good love story. I want a vampire book where that's not too gory. Like all the different things. And so I put what I'm looking for in the search because I know I'm going to get better results. So, what are the keywords that are in your books that other people are searching for? And then again, the title. So many missed opportunities with titles. I think that people fall in love with a title of their book because they love the title, but my question to you is that title of the book going to sell the book? Because once you get to this piece of the metadata, we are no longer talking about our creativity. We are no longer talking about our art. We're no longer talking about being the author. All of this is being the marketer. And so the title has to be a marketable title. And if you can put some keywords into that title, that's really great. But if you have a book that is titled Love's Hope, okay, cool. What does that mean? Um, is that going to be something that people are looking for? But suddenly, if it becomes Love's Hope on Alien Planet Gork, suddenly you're like, oh, wait, this is a cool love's romance alien book. Yes, I want it. And so just those little tweaks. I used to say uh, to my editor, for my traditional books, I would have to give like a list of like 20 titles. And seriously, like I would always slip in there and to say, I actually don't care what you call my book as long as it sells. I really am like, I just don't care. So I'll come up with a title, but I'm like, nah, it's fine. Even now, like if I'm trying to title things or title posts or whatever, I don't rely on myself. I get help to come up with what's going to be the marketable title. Not just is this a good title that I think is pretty and reflects my work, but is this title going to grab someone and make them buy it? And the same thing with the subtitle. The subtitle is another place to be able to get more words that are keywords to help with your discoverability. Um, and that might be, like I was saying about the alien title romance, which I totally forgot the name of the title I just made up. But, you could put as the subtitle, you know, loving the alien or something like that. But again, those are keywords. Oh, this is alien. This is romance. Cool. That's my jam. Because you also don't want, if you're writing an alien book, you also not like the alien romance market is really different from the sci-fi market that writes about aliens. And if you put those two together, your readers are going to be mad. So make sure that your title and your subtitle are reflecting what the reader of your particular genre is going to be. Because it isn't, with the aliens, for example, if it is hitting, if it's an alien romance, but you're marketing it to the real big sci-fi nerds, they're going to tank your book because they're like, dude, we don't want all this weird romancy kissy stuff. And by the same token, if you're writing a hardcore science fiction alien book and you're marketing it to romance readers and there's no romance in it, they're also going to review your book badly because they want all the kissing stuff and you didn't put any kissing in. Come on, kiss the aliens if you're going to have romance. And then series name. Again, what is going to be a good series name for that book series that is going to tell people about the books? Um, and think about how that series name reflects, okay, this is a cool alien series, you know, Alien Conquerors or alien, an alien warlord book, whatever. But that series is also going to be another thing that all the search engines, when they're looking for what kind of book they want, all of those things are what's going to be in the search results. And then your pen name. If you need help finding a pen name, you could use this to find the pen name. And the other thing that we do is price optimization. If you're not sure how many people struggle with what to price their book, like it's hard. And so our price optimization, it will give you for a book in this genre of this length, it's, all the different parameters. Here is the range of pricing if you want to price your book at the high level. Here's what the high end of the market tolerates. Here's what the medium end. Here's what the budget end. And so it gives you more informed decisions of how do I price my book as opposed to, I'll just randomly stick a price in there. Or going out again to the groups, which are really helpful, and saying, yeah, I don't know what to price my book. And then you get a million different answers. And to me, that's always more confusing because, again, what is your genre? How many pages is it? All of the different things that go into it. Unless you're giving that information, sometimes you're not getting good answers from people. Um, and then this is just another look at what we can do with the data and the metadata. This image here is just showing you some of the things that it comes up with in terms of Amazon categories and things like that to suggest where your book is going to fit and sell well. The other thing that we have that is new is our cover image generator. Basically, again, you're going to upload your book and it will create an AI cover for you. Now, I know not everyone wants to use an AI cover, totally fine. But this is an option for people who are okay with using AI covers. And what I will also say is that if you have a cover designer, again, we're going to use Danica as an example. I am terrible at coming up with a cover concept and what I want on a cover. I literally, again, many times my answer to what do you want on your cover is I don't care as long as it sells my book. I am one of those people, which you think is a good thing, but it's really annoying to cover designers because they're like, yeah, I can't help you. Tell me what you want. I'm like, I don't know, just sell my book. Um, and so what you can do with AI is come up with a bunch of different cover concepts and say, okay, here's what I like, here's what's working. And again, what our tool is doing is it's looking at what's selling on Amazon. So what are the top covers for your genre at the time? I just had a really cool conversation with some author friends the other day. And that was the thing we're talking about is she was like, yeah, I've got to recover all of my books because they were published 10 years ago and the covers need to be refreshed. Well, that can be really expensive. I have spent hundreds, well, okay, thousands of dollars on book covers in the past. And so to have to recover everything is just, too much work. But when you've got AI tools that can help you with that, that's also really great. And like I said, you can either use these covers, you do have the right to use all of these covers to publish these books, Or if you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to use them on my book cover, but wow, this just saved me a bunch of time coming up with some cover concepts. And that's the part I really enjoy. And then some benefits of a cover generator, it's going to save you some time and money. Again, it's just faster. It just gives you those faster results rather than me spending a week angsting over what do I tell them I want on my cover. I can just say, boom, here you go. Here's 10 different cover concepts. What do you think? And again, discoverability. How we say we don't judge a book by its cover, but we really do. And if it's a book with a bad cover, people are going to skip right by it. And so if you've got a good cover that matches your book, that matches your story, people are going to see it and be able to pick up your book based on that. And then you can test and optimize for success. Maybe you don't know what you want your book cover to be. Well, great. With an AI created cover, you can say, again, maybe you're not even going to use this cover. You can say, hey, do you prefer a landscape image on the cover, or do you prefer a person on the cover? And you can send that out to your readers, and your readers can say, oh yeah, I prefer the landscape. Oh, I prefer the image. And you've got those example covers that they can look at. And not only is that a great way to engage your fan base, but then again, you know what kind of cover your readers are going to respond to. And again, if you're uncertain about whether or not you want to use an AI cover, maybe that's part of the test. And really figure out how to optimize what you are doing with your book, because again, at this point, we're beyond the I am a creative who wrote this amazing book. We're now I am a marketer who wants to get the best results for my book possible. um, and so here's just some things that we can do. You can do scene selection, you can fine tune the covers, you can do some variations, and you can customize your different designs and then download it for using for whatever. So if you end up not using the cover, great, you don't have to. You still can download it. Those images are still yours to use however you want. Maybe you're not going to use it as the actual cover, but it's a great promo image. Um, and then just some very versatile things that you can do with our cover design. Again, you just upload the book and our AI tool comes up with the cover for you. And as I said, none of this is being used to train the AI. It's just the AI going through and looking at your book for your purpose. That data goes nowhere else. So taking the next step, distribution is essential, but as you can see, there's a lot more to it than just getting your books out there. You've got to have the right metadata, the right information, but we do have some great promotional tools to help you succeed. And our goal is to manage your publishing business from one dashboard that's going to give you more time to focus on the things that you love, that are important to you. Like that week that I would spend agonizing over a cover, I've just handled that in a couple of hours, and I've got all that time to write some more book. And you could use all or just one of our products. Everything within the PublishDrive ecosystem, you can start it for free. You get one ebook for free, you get one tool with Abacus for free, and you get 60 credits for the AI tool as well for free. And I know for those who went to the Women in Publishing Conference, we also do on our sponsor page have a special deal for Alexa's um, people. So be sure to check that out as well. And that is all I have for you today.
Would you like me to read you questions or do you want to handle questions? How do you like?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and read me the
I
questions?
will do that. Okay. How does your distribution process differ from Publish in terms of cost, royalty, breadth of distribution, etc.? Can you talk to that? Do you know how Publishes works?
I know a little bit about Publish. I don't know all of the details, but what I can say is that of all of the people out there, all of the distribution channels out there, we actually have more channels. So a lot of, like I know one of the questions, for example, people will ask us about Ingram Spark. Ingram is one of our distribution partners, so you can go with Ingram Spark and just get the Ingram Spark stuff. But if you use us, you get Ingram Spark plus a bunch of other stores Ingram Spark doesn't cover. So, and that's going to be the same with Publish. I don't have the exact comparisons, but it's a similar um, situation.
I distribute one book through them too, because I like to try our different
Uh-huh.
companies. So I do know that they take 15% and they will do some of the same things that Publish Drive. They all have everybody's a little bit different what they offer. It's a $99 a year fee to be distributed. So you do have that fee, and then it's basically they spit it out to all the places that they make your book available, but they don't necessarily do some of the things like you were describing that Publish Drive does with the featured lists and things like that. So there's definitely um, you know, pros,
Yeah,
cons all around.
and I will say of pricing because I just saw the question pop up, but also just to go along with the Publish pricing. So we go for an annual subscription fee. You can pay monthly as well, but annual you save the most money, just like with any subscription product. We don't take any additional percentage after that.
Oh
And
wow.
so the subscription fee that you are paying, it is a flat fee per book. And it's broken down into different pricing segments. So obviously, if you've got more books, it's going to be a lower cost price per book. But again, your first ebook is free because we want you to try it and enjoy our product and make sure that you're comfortable with our product before you do more books. And then after that, I believe the plans start at about $14.99 a month and go up from there, depending on the number of books that you have. And it's really good to know that with that, um, if you are looking at it, well, I have X number of books. Oh, but I don't want to move to a higher price plan, or you're in between price plans or whatever. There is a form on our pricing website that please fill that out. You can get a sales call with our salesperson who can sit down and figure out a customer profile and really figure out what's going to be best for your publishing business.
Great. Um, I'm going to skip this one because I believe you covered in your presentation quite well all of the services that you do, and it is significantly different than what you're going to get through Ingram Spark. How does Publish Drive compare with or differ from draft to digital? Well, here's one thing I can tell you. The back end reports, oh my gosh, way, way, way better on Publish Drive. Way better. That's
Yeah.
one thing for sure.
Yeah. So we basically, first of all, we do more stores than draft to digital. So that's really important. The other thing is that draft to digital is going to take a percentage of everything you make. So they say they're free, but remember, they're going to take a percentage of everything you make. And so with draft to digital, it does not make sense to put Amazon on draft to digital
Right.
because like they're taking 10 to 15% of your biggest group of sales, which is why I said with PublishDrive, it actually makes sense because it doesn't cost you any extra. We're not taking a percentage of your earnings. Everything you make on Amazon, that's money that goes to you. And so to me, that's going to be the big difference because you've got it all in one dashboard so that you can see all of that and manage it from one spot rather than having a million different logins in a million different places, which makes me crazy, by the way, because I never remember these things.
Mhm.
But I will say for those of you who are interested in that comparison between Draft to Digital or Ingram Spark, if you go to our website, we do have a comparison tool right there on the website where you can put in your numbers and calculate where you're going to get the better deal.
Wow.
And this is something that we're really passionate about at Publish Drive is we want transparency. We want people to feel good about their decision to come to Publish Drive. We want you to be able to look at your numbers because a lot of people will tell you, oh, well, this percentage or this percentage and this number. Okay, great. But as I was saying before, what does that mean to you and your publishing business? What's going to work for you? And that's what we want people to make that distinction for themselves.
That's great. I think that's really cool. Okay, I'm setting up, Denise says, I'm setting up my IP. Will or would the abacus help in splitting up the royalties among the beneficiary of my books, i.e., the charities who will be receiving them?
I would say probably yes. That is something because it's a more specific question about your business is if you go to our pricing page and fill out the form, just schedule a sales call with our salesperson and he can speak specifically to your business and your business's needs. Like I don't want to steer you wrong. I'm pretty sure that yes, that can be done, but I would rather you talk directly to Matthew to make sure that that will work for you.
I got to meet Matthew at PubU. He's such a sweetie.
Isn't he?
Okay, can we have our books on more than one platform like Amazon, or do we have to be exclusive to PublishDrive?
Nope, you don't have to be exclusive. You get to have your books on whatever platforms you want. Now, what I will say is if you are in KU, then you cannot put your books on Publish Drive because you're exclusive to Amazon with that decision. But one of the nice things we have is all of those stores that I mentioned, when you upload your book, there's like a little list. You just toggle off or on the stores that you want to use. So if there's ever a store that you're like, nope, I prefer to be direct with the store, or no, I don't want to distribute to this market, fine, just turn it all off. Just turn off what you don't want, is what.
Yeah, love that. Does the AI cover for children's genre take the illustrations to generate or just the words of the book?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that because I haven't tested that. But if you want, reach out to me, Danica at PublishDrive.com, and we can play with it because I honestly don't know that answer. I don't know that we've tried it, but now I kind of want to try it actually.
Right? Does PublishDrive provide a review print copy?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Julia, can you talk a bit more about how the translation services work? Great question.
So we don't have a translation service. You would have to get those translated on your own, but it's more that we can handle all of the different languages and things like that to be able to have your book in multiple languages. So you still are having to do the translation yourself.
Cool. How long have you used PublishDrive, Danica, and how long have you worked for them?
Wow. So I've been with Publish Drive about 2.5 years.
And are you using them for your books? Do you want to answer that?
Well, okay. I
Are you in
am not,
KU?
but that is not because of Publish Drive. That is because my books that are published right now are trad. So I
Oh, okay. Well,
can't.
that's a very good reason.
Yeah, yeah. So most of my published books right now are trad. I have a couple of indie books out there, but because they were part of a group project, I can't undo what the group has said. So basically, everything I contractually can't have on Publish Drive, but now that I am writing again, those books will go up on Publish Drive. I really, again, I've been with them long enough that I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to hurry up and write and get something up on Publish Drive because I really think it's a great. I've seen the in and outs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, this is my choice. I just haven't been able to choose it yet.
Got it. All right, Uni, I hope I pronounced your name correct. It's not just for fiction books. You can put all genres. Do you do children? Yeah, I mean, we were talking
We
about the
do. We
children's
do
books,
all
but yeah,
genres. We do
okay.
children's books. One of the things when we were at IBPA's PubU, we actually had someone talking to us about the books he was doing. He was doing like comic books and stuff. And actually, one of the biggest publishers that uses Publish Drive is does manga. Um, so yes, we can do nonfiction, we can do fiction, we can do children's books, we can do illustrated books. We can really do it all.
Awesome. Okay, can you add a series after one has already been published, or after
Yes.
you've already published a book?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Does PublishDrive distribute other formats besides ebooks?
Yes, we do ebook, audiobook, and print on demand.
Nice. Okay, how many iterations of a cover will the cover generator provide per book?
A gazillion. I was working with an author. We were doing kind of a proof of concept with her on her books, and oh my goodness, we probably spent an hour doing it. Now it will, the more iterations you do, the more credits it will cost you. But like you can really do the equivalent of a book with a few iterations for about $5. So we're not talking it being super expensive, but you can do as many iterations as you want. Just
You
think
have to
about how many credits it might cost.
pay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the cover generator standalone, has its own separate fee. You buy the credits and then you
Yes.
use those credits. Okay, Sheila, hopefully that answered your question there then. All right, Simona says, do you count it as one book if you're publishing an ebook, softcover, and hardcover? Are they all separate? So her first book will be published in English and Spanish version in all of those versions, so 6 books in total. Is that 6 books or one book on the subscription?
Yeah, it is 6 books, and the reason is it's 6 different ISBNs.
Mm.
So yes, it is 6 books, like, so it's kind of, we say book, but really think ISBN. And so
Format really
yeah,
for each format. But you said the subscription pricing goes down the more that you have.
right, exactly.
Okay. And I think that was Ashlyn's as well. You said there's an annual subscription fee per book. Does that include distribution of the book? Yes, right? And but
Yes, yes.
each
The
book is
annual
its own.
subscription is the distribution. The separate fees would be for Abacus or for the AI assistant.
Awesome. Does PublishDrive have live tech support or are there tutorials?
So we do not have like live tech support in the sense of no one's going to get on the phone with you and help you. We do have a lot of tutorials. We have a lot of video tutorials. We've got a whole um, learning center. That's not what it's called. I can't think of the word. But anyway, where you go in and you've got all the videos explaining how to do different pieces of PublishDrive. We do have the chat bot that you can talk to. And then if you're having further issues, you can put in a support ticket with our support team.
Perfect. Yeah, you can use your own print imprint names because PublishDrive is not the publisher, correct? You're just the distributor.
Right.
What are credits and how do you get credits?
So for the AI tool, basically credits are just how many tokens or pieces of information. You get 60 credits to start for free, and then after that you can buy them in bundles. They're usually like, I think they're like $10 for however many. But basically when you're using an AI tool, AI systems work on what's called tokens. And so if you submit a task, let's say analyze this book, it'll generally cost about 60 tokens. We just call them credits because people understand that a little bit better.
Awesome. Does PublishDrive require a minimum number of words in a book?
Um, yes and no.
Hmm.
I say no because we don't. I say yes because some stores are going to say, no, this isn't a book length kind of thing, and they're going to reject it based on that. So,
Kathy, if I'm understanding the point behind your question, are you asking if they will do low content books like just lined journals and things of that nature? Is that what you're asking? Because obviously children's picture books are going to have much fewer words than a fantasy,
right.
but that's my guess is that Kathy's looking for like if you
Yeah.
will do the low content
And
books.
we do not do the low content books, unfortunately. It's one of the biggest things that Amazon in particular has cracked down on. And so they don't want them from us either. So we don't do the low content books.
And lots of questions Barbara on has on printing, embossing on covers, specialty printing. Um, do you do your own printing or do you print?
We do not. We use Repro India, China Print, Ingram, and Amazon. And so only the options available through that are what's going to be available to you. So the fancier embossed stuff, you're going to have to go to a specialty printer for.
And she says, what publisher are they using for POD then? I don't,
Yeah, those are the four.
uh, printers. Okay. Um, the basic price of publish drive per book. Are you asking about printing? She can't answer that because it's going to depend on so many factors. What type of cover, what type of binding, how many words, how many pages, if there's color, there's a million things that
Right,
go into
right.
that.
There's definitely a lot that goes into that. But again, like if it's something that you're really like, I really need this answer, do feel free to schedule a call through our pricing page. You can fill out a form, and Matthew will be happy to go through some of that with you and your books.
And Kathy says her book doesn't have 35,000 words, which is a requirement for some publishers. So I don't know how many, you didn't tell us how many words your book has, so that's hard to answer, but I'm sure Danica, if they email
Yeah,
the helpline,
yeah, and I think 35,000 words, I think that's fine. I mean, I think that's novella.
right.
So I think that would be fine.
Awesome. Well, we made it through all the questions. Yeah, so there's the nuts and bolts of it are there are a lot of companies out there that can serve you and help you in your process. You've got things to think about, like what type of books you're trying to do, what your end goal is. They have that calculator out there, which I think is phenomenal, so you can see where you're going to do better at the end of the day. But I really like the people at PublishDrive. I really like the tool. I really like what you guys are doing innovation wise, and yeah, I definitely recommend it's a great place to check out. And especially with a free ebook, I mean, give it a shot if you're not in Kindle Unlimited, of course. If you are on KU, you can't move an ebook over, but you can give it a shot on your other books and no harm, no foul, right?
Yeah,
Anything
yeah,
else?
exactly. And I
Um,
will say, just because I I just know this, so with your free ebook, you don't actually get access to our tech support. That's one of the things that you just have to use the bot. But if you're doing your free ebook and you run into trouble, please reach out to me, because I can circumvent that a little bit. Um, but obviously I don't want to like have the whole world, that's not going to be on the
right.
website. But
Don't,
but like for
don't
you guys at the webinar, really you are more than welcome to reach out to me. And yes, Angela, there is a promo for those of you in her group.
go to
Uh,
womenandpublishingsummit.com/publish drive or our sponsors page. I can grab the link right now just to be safe. And I'll give you the exact link. But yes, that's PubSite, not Publish Drive. Here we go, Publish Drive. 20% off their annual subscription to distribution book plan. So that is great. There you
no,
go.
no, no, Barbara. Just to clarify, if you have the audiobook, the print book, and the ebook, the 16.99 it's just times one. It's just 16.99. You're not paying it for each book. It's total for all of those books. And then when you go up to more books, you would be paying like 24.99 or whatever, and that includes all of the books that you're publishing in that.
Got it. And with that link I just dropped, it's just womenandpublishingsummit.com/publish drive if you're driving or doing other things right now. And you can find all of our sponsors offers at womenandpublishingsummit.com/sponsors. Made it very, very easy for you. You can find the Publish Drive link, and that's 20% off your annual subscription. So that's very helpful. Thank you so much for that. All right, Danica, it's always a pleasure to spend time with you, and I look forward to our next opportunity to learn and hang out and have fun together. Thank you again so much. Please thank your entire team for the wonderful support of our conference and community. And I guess that's it for today.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. And thank you all for being such a great audience. And like I said, I am in the women publishing group. So if you do have additional questions, please reach out.
Wonderful. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye, everyone.